And hello and welcome to the second Druids dozen. Yeah, did one of these last week. People seem to like it, the sickos. So I thought I'd do it again. And yeah, again, 12 randoms, 12 albums, rapidly kind of randomly pulled from my record rack and given a quick review. DIY lo-fi punk approach, no editing, no kind of stuff. I know someone said, am I doing any new releases? Well, this week I am. But the way I'm recording these at the moment, I haven't really got facilities to talk about sort of digital and MP3 submissions that I've had, where I can like put a little thing up there with kind of the cover. So until I can get that working on, and I am working on it, this is going to be sort of like vinyl and CD only. So yeah, let's get started, and we'll start with this lot. SLADE, Inflame. There's the front, there's the back, and yeah, there's the gatefold. Yeah, now this lot, 1975. Is it 75? He says, having a quick look around here, I think it's 74 or 75, the actual publication date of this. It doesn't say on the sleeve. I'm going to have to consult the record itself, me lovers. 1974. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. Anyway, back in those days, SLADE were at their height. Now, I've always been a big SLADE fan. And they were at their height. And the record label decided, which was Polydor at the time, said they wanted to kind of do a Beatles-type movie with SLADE. The record company had ideas and gave them a script of kind of light-hearted kind of sci-fi romp in which SLADE beat the aliens. However, SLADE wanted something a bit grittier. Sat down with a couple of kind of established writers, came up with a rather sordid tale of rock and roll corruption, of a band being snatched from obscurity, thrown to the limelight and thrown to the wolves as record companies and criminals and that argued about their career and fought behind their back. The film is brilliant. If you ever get a chance to see it, it is available on YouTube to stream. Film is brilliant. The soundtrack is brilliant. The best SLADE album, in my opinion. Contains a couple of their well-known singles. How Does It Feel and Far, Far Away. Has my favourite SLADE track of all time on here, the fantastic Standing on the Corner. And then there's This Girl's Summer Song, So Far So Good, Lay It Down, Yesterday Was Yesterday, the brilliant Them Kind of Monkeys Can't Swing. SLADE at their best. And I love SLADE, been into SLADE since I was a little boy. But and although some of their later albums and even the albums before this are damn fine releases, this to me is their pinnacle. And to anyone that wants to get into SLADE, the place to start. Okay, next up, bit of this, bit of Southern Boogie, Texan Boogie, sorry, not Southern Boogie, Texan Boogie. Although technically Texas is in the south, I know. Anyway, like most people in the UK, I really started getting into ZZ Top. Well, I became aware of ZZ Top around the time of the Eliminator album. I'd heard the name before then, but not really kind of taken much notice. Got Eliminator, I liked it. So I went and, under mate's advice, decided to track down some earlier albums. Originally had this one on cassette. Cassette long since been eaten or destroyed or stretched or lost. So I replaced it on both. I've got vinyl and I've got CD now as well. My favourite ZZ Top album, without a doubt. It's got Master of Sparks on it, which is my favourite ZZ Top tune, and then other classics. The Grange, Jesus Just Left Chicago, Hot Blue and Righteous, Move On Down the Line, Precious and Grace, Chic, Beer Drinkers, Hellraisers. Just a classic, yeah. And note the beards are very short on here, yeah. And yeah. Short beards shouldn't be allowed, you know. Either full beard or no beard. Anyway, moving on. Next up, another album, I think, another bit of vinyl. Yeah. I'll let you drink the cover in for a minute. This is Beastiality by the Handsome Beasts, classic new wave of British heavy metal obscurity, with Gary Flabby Dalloway, the vocalist, romping in a pigsty, naked with a pig. Well, actually, he's got his underpants on. If you look on the back cover, and yeah, you can see the entire photo shoot, and he is wearing a pair of grits. But anyway, Handsome Beasts. Now, this sort of band, they came out formed in the late 70s, kind of bikery, kind of hard rock outfit, and like out of Birmingham, Kings Norton, I think they were from originally, in Birmingham. And like many of these bands, kind of, especially from that Birmingham area, when the new wave of British heavy metal hit, they suddenly found themselves with an upswing in popularity. Heavy Metal Records, the Birmingham kind of based label, decided to snatch them up. And this, I think, is only the second album Heavy Metal Records released. I think the first one being a compilation. I may be wrong. But this was the second thing they released by the Handsome Beast, because there was a the All Right Now single came out before this. Anyway, it's gritty, it's biker rock, it's slightly bluesy in places, but it's just a hell of a lot of fun. You got tracks like David's song with the lyrics, I can't help being a pig, that's just the way that I am, I want to be your pig, I want to be your ham. The rather controversial Sweeties, where it says he's standing by the schoolyard with a bag of Sweeties, little girl, can I take you home? Not really acceptable these days, but I don't know, things were different back then, and thank God they've changed. But don't let that put you off this album, because Tearing Me Apart, Local Heroes, brilliant track about kind of being in a band that the locals like but no one else has heard of. Anyway, just a cracking album. It's kind of lo-fi, it's kind of, the production is a bit rough around the edges, but overall it kind of sums up the whole spirit of the new wave of British heavy metal. Band they kind of carried on the other couple of albums with Gary Dalloway. He died about 10 years ago. They did replace him, and they're still going on the live circuit, but I don't know if there's any kind of new studio albums or anything from this lot left. But anyway, Handsome Beasts, Beastiality. Now, as I said, I have got some new releases coming in this week, and this is one of them. We've got two on the show. This is the first one. There's the front. There's the back. There's the kind of opening gatefold, and if I take this out, there's a treasure map on it. Oh, shows you where to find the treasures within. Just like that. And then on the B side of that, you've got, flip side of that, you've got just the kind of album credits and where things were recorded, etc. Yeah, this is the Jolly Rogers, by Jolly Roger, and Jolly Roger by Jolly Roger. Originally a band out of Falmouth in Cornwall, currently working out of Plymouth down there in Devon, and three-piece kind of pirate folk rock band. If you can imagine kind of the Pogues providing the soundtrack for Black Sails TV series, this is where these lot are coming from. Bumped into these by accident. There was another band called Jolly Roger, South American I think it was, who I played a track on one of the radio shows earlier in the year, tail end of last year I think it was actually, and accidentally tagged these by mistake, and we've been chatting ever since. Got to see them live, got to hang out with them, and they're amazing fans. Jolly Rogers fans are some of the best I've ever come across. You walk into a Jolly Roger gig, everyone's dressed up as pirates, and everybody parties. I mean, I just turned up in jeans and a t-shirt, and before I knew it, I had an hat put on my head, a cutlass in my hand, and I was dancing with a tavern wench. Yeah, and they played for 2.5 hours non-stop, absolutely storming stuff. Yeah, so tracks on here, 20th Century Pirate, one of my favourites, but there's Two to the Blue. Fisherman's Girl, which is one of their more chilled out numbers. There's A Hole in Me Glass, Born a Pirate, The Captain's Coming. There's some 20 Shots Ended Up, and Lady of the Sea, which are the live bonus tracks. And yeah, It kind of sums up roughly what these guys are like live. It's a little bit rough around the edges, but it is absolutely enjoyable. And you can't listen to this without putting a smile on your face. Only just come out. If you get the band up on Facebook or anywhere like that, they'll probably tell you where you can get your hands on a copy. So, yeah, Jolly Roger by Jolly Roger. Highly, highly recommended. Next up, we'll have this one. Yeah. Demons Taking the World by Storm. There's the front. There's the back. Together it opens up into a rather nice piece of post-apocalyptic warfare artwork. There we are, like that. And on the inside you've got that which is the kind of better version of the artwork and all the lyrics, etc., and obviously the credits. Now, what can I say about Daemon? And again, another band that would definitely be in my top favourite bands category. This lot came out of Leek in Staffordshire in, well, originally around about the late 1970s. And again, they found themselves caught up with the new wave of British heavy metal movement. They had a kind of rather important non-hit single with a thing called Big Love back in about 1980. Got snatched up by Career Records, which was Saxon's label at the time, French label, I believe. We recorded a couple of albums for them, and then kind of met a producer called Mike Stone, I think his name was, and became the band's manager. They set up their own record label and issued an album called The Plague. I think I've got these facts right. I may have the timeline might be slightly shifted, but anyway, released The Plague, which is kind of one of the first kind of progressive metal albums ever recorded. It's kind of keyboard heavy. It's a great big sprawling concept work, and yeah, it will show up on one of these videos in future if I carry on doing them. But they just carried on in that vein for a good few years, well, throughout the 80s into the early 90s. And to this day, their latest album, Cemetery Junction, is a pretty damn good one. Came out, was it, 2 years ago. Anyway, grabbed at random, this is Taking the World by Storm, which I believe is 1979. Again, I shall have to have a quick check. Yeah, 1979. Thought it was, because in my bedroom next door, on the wall, I've still got a framed tour poster from this tour, signed by the band. As is this. I don't know if you can see it, it's a bit faded now, but also signed by the band. Yeah, this album is basically a follow-up to 1987's Breakout, and it's kind of like the second part of a look on British society, or world society in general. You've got, let's have a look, Commercial Dynamite is a track that deals with kind of commercialism in sport. Taking the World by Storm, which is about urban vigilantes. Where are we? Time Has Come. Remember, and of course the classic track on here, Remembrance Day, a song that apparently Dave Hill and Steve Watts, the keyboard player, wrote when they heard the breaking news of the Inniskilling Remembrance Day bombing. And it's a song for peace, and it's a spine-tingling number. And on my radio shows, especially on BCFM, I do play that track every Remembrance Sunday. Anyway, yeah, brilliant album. So Daemon is still going strong. You can still get this on CD and MP3, etc., should you want to, and highly recommend that you do. It's kind of heavy, it's progressive, it's just Daemon. It's brilliant. Okay, next up, reaching for the CDs, and we're having a bit of a favourite personal classic of mine. Hope you can see that, guys. CAUDA PAVONIS' Sigil. There's the front, there's the back. Now, and yeah, open it up. There's that. There is a little booklet in here with lyrics, I believe. Is it lyrics? Yeah, lyrics and a few pictures. There's the band themselves in there. They don't look a bit like that much now, but yeah, they're still going. There's lyrics, etc., other information, etc., as you would. Anyway, this album deleted. It's the only CAUDA PAVONIS album not currently available on CD. There is a digital release of this floating around various places, but CDs have been sold out years ago, and I believe I've got one of the last copies in existence. Now, CAUDA PAVONIS, they're kind of gothic, death rock, dark wave, kind of cyber goth. Yeah, one of these bands, they're hard to really categorise, but you know, if you kind of use the word gothic death rock overall, yeah, kind of on the right kind of ballpark. Currently a 4-piece band, or a 3-piece when this was recorded. Founded around the husband and wife duo of Sue and Dave Wainwright. A couple of people I call friends. They are genuine mates. They are really nice people. And I met them through the band, and Aidan stashed in a gig with them a couple of times, well, more than a couple of times now. We've become pretty good buddies. Anyway, lovely bunch of people. They're joined by Chris Hines, the guitarist. I can't remember the current bass player's name. They keep changing bass players, but anyway. Anyway, this is their 2003 album, this one, and it's kind of, to my opinion, although they've done some damn good albums since, this is their seminal one. It's got, let's have a look, Blood Kiss, Controversial Alchemy, Dead Man's Gallery, Dust Till Dawn, War Dance, Sinner's Lullaby, 9 to 5 Freak Show, Winter. It's just amazing. It's dark, it's quite heavy, but it's very danceable as well. They kind of use a lot of sequencers and synths and drum loops, etc. in their sound, and very infectious. This lot, quite a large cult underground following in the UK. Amongst their fans is Toya Wilcox, who insists that they gig with her quite regularly. They've also kind of done TV soundtrack work and documentaries, etc. So, but anyway, well worth checking them out, the whole band, not just this album, the whole band. CAUDA PAVONIS and Sigil. Okay, next up, which will have another bit of vinyl, and this one, Alice Cooper's DaDa. Now, not one of the better known Alice Cooper albums, I'll admit. In fact, this is an album Alice Cooper himself says that he was so drunk at the time he can't remember recording. It's never been toured, and as far as I'm aware, music from this stuff has never been performed live by Alice. And it's one of the kind, when was this one come out? 1983, and it's one of those very early 80s albums where he kind of was in his sort of lowest drink and drug dependent phases. And story has that after he recorded this one, he went straight from the studio, went to rehab. Now, as a result, this album has become kind of, is overlooked a bit. As you can see, this is the US copy. Got my import sticker on here. Although I got this out of a bargain rack, I didn't import this one myself. Now, and it's a shame because although maybe Alice was in a very dark place when he recorded it, it does show in the lyrics, and as kind of a dark kind of cry from the soul, this album is brilliant. I mean, you've got is it Enough Is Enough, the opening cut, Formerly Warmer, Dyslexia, and my favourite cut on here, Pass the Gun Around, and which is kind of a very dark track about contemplating suicide. It's not an easy album to listen to, I'll give it that, but it's worth sticking with. And yeah, kind of it's one of these albums that when you listen to it at the end, you end up with a big dose of perspective and chips. Alice's vocals on here are really good. The Bob Ezrin's production, and he does kind of keyboards and a bit of drums and a bit of everything else, is really cool as well. So yeah, Alice Cooper's DaDa. If you haven't got it and you're a Cooper fan and you haven't checked it out, do so. I'm not saying you will like, I'm just saying you might. Okay, next up, reaches for the CDs. Yeah, the electric CRAYON set, and what a rotter of a day. Now, if you're watching last week will say that, remember that I, when I first started on BCFM, I decided I was going to kind of email out a load of to bands on Bandcamp, kind of pleading for new release material, and one of which was this lot. These lot are from Olo in Finland. They're kind of psychedelic rock band, kind of in the almost in like the kind of Small Faces vein. And in fact, there are places on here where the Faces influence is absolutely just shines through. The tracks Kitty Ruxpin and what the title track, What a Rotter of a Day itself, is brilliant. As you can see, kind of references to Bobby Moore and West Ham on the cover. But overall, it's pretty good, the album, this one. Took me a little bit of time to get into it, first of all, but now it kind of definitely releasing one of my obscure favourites album. As far as I'm aware, it's the only thing that this band ever issued, and I don't know whether you'll be able to get it or not. Soundhawk Records 2007 was when it was released, but beyond that I couldn't tell you. Anyway, yeah, good album. I said, if you like bands like the Faces and a bit of kind of psychedelia, go check them out. Okay, next up we're going to have a bit of prog rock, I think. He says selecting this one. Yeah, Palace, Arrive Alive. Now, there's the front. And there's the back. Yeah, this lot Scottish prog rockers came out. What? Now I hate the term neo prog, but that's what they kind of up their own. It sounds a bit too much up your own backside for my liking. But anyway, the prog rockers called it neo prog. I just called it the 80s prog rock revival. Sounds more of a kind of yeah, acceptable term to my kind of non-fancy pantsy ears. So I love prog rock, but some prog rock fans do get right up my snot box. Not all of them. There's a lot of good ones, but some of the ones that, you know, they get up my snot box because they're up their own backsides, basically. Anyway, like I said, that's just a few of the headbangers, the extreme ones. Not kind of every prog rocker before all the prog rockers fill the comment section with abuse. Although, having said that, there's probably going to be a couple that will. Okay, and I relish the fact. Okay, now this lot, I said, prog rock revivalism, a movement in my opinion is parallel to and related to the new wave of British heavy metal. Bands that came through on that scene, IQ, Pendragon, Marillion of course, It Bites, and of course Palace. Out of Aberdeen, this album contains the original vocalist Ewan Lowson, a 5-tracker. The opening cut, Arrive Alive, is their well, their probably best known song. Palace have recorded it several times over the years, both live and different studio versions. And then you've got Heart Attack, Queen of the Deep, The Ripper, and one of my favourite Palace songs of all time, Crown of Thorns. It's kind of intelligent. Most prog rock is the kind of the musicianship is very intelligent. It's very, very well played. But Palace always did have a bit of a kind of cutting edge to them that bands, especially like IQ, lacked. You know, live, Palace came over as almost heavy metal. They were that intense, and I've seen them live a few times as well. But anyway, yeah, this is their debut album. Quite obscure now, although I do believe the band themselves, who are still going, have reissued it several times recently, or it's been kind of repackaged with early singles, etc. I don't know. I just got the original vinyl and some of the original singles, so I'll stick to them. But anyway, if you're a prog rocker and you quite fancy a bit of primordial Scottish prog, add this one to your collection. Okay, next up, CD and another new release. And we're going to go back to Plymouth. This is brand new, came out tail end of last year. It's by a band called Bonesalt. They're kind of sort of 3-piece power trio, heavy metal, heavy rock type outfit. Those of you that know your new over British heavy metal and can remember Tank, well, that's the wicket these guys are bouncing off. I will be featuring Tank albums on future editions of this kind of little vlog cast, whatever it's called. But when this dropped through my door the other day and I first kind of gave it a spin, the Tank vibe had jumped out and run over my foot. I thought I was listening to outtakes from Filth Hounds of Hades, and that's not an insult to anybody, because Filth Hounds of Hades is one of my favourite albums when it comes to Tank. Anyway, this is Bonesalt's eponymous debut 6-track mini album. It kind of headbangs and riffs and bludgeons like a good one. You know, it almost sounds like it should have been released in the early 80s in the new wave of British heavy metal. In's mouth asked to die, I see you in hell, pain. My favourite cut, burn the priestess, and then it came from the sky. Just, it's really, really good stuff. I know these guys are, again, they're like the rest of us are in lockdown, and I know these guys do come up to Bristol occasionally, so next time they're in town and we're out of lockdown, I'm going to go along and see them, because I like what I hear. But anyway, check them out, go get your own copy, if you like your metal. Okay, another CD and another old obscurity. There we are. This is Ghost Music by Bristol band Panic Office. Yeah, not much. Yeah, not even an inlay. There's not even an inlay card. It's just a flat white one-side piece of paper. Self-produced by the band. I can imagine them all sitting there, kind of folding up their little printouts and shoving them in the jewel cases. Anyway, Panic Office. They were a kind of experimental kind of prog metal band. Did a couple of albums, and this one was recorded by my old mate Jim Cogan, Mystic Jim, who was a kind of, I've known the guy for years. I met him when I was at college many years ago, and he was one time he was dabbling with a bit of record production. He did the first Alien Stashed album, by the way, and amongst other things he did this one, Panic Office, Ghost Music. And it's pretty good. It's kind of an intense yet intelligent, accessible kind of mix of kind of, there's kind of hard rock, there's kind of some degentist metal kind of thing in here. It's, yeah, overall just really, really good. There's cuts like 10/8, so called, because it's played in 10/8 time. Hold Your Sweat, Moots and Thorns, 12 is only a number. My favourite cut, which is the title track. And yeah, overall, pretty good. Now, I believe these guys came from Western Supermare. I may be wrong, I may be right, I don't know. But anyway, they left behind this album and a follow-up, which was Blue something, if I remember rightly. They had tracks on it called Fission and Fusion. Blue Hour, was that one? Anyway, someone will tell me if I'm wrong. But anyway, they're pretty damn good. They kind of... they were all kind of sixth formers and students at the time, and as that often happens with young bands, as kind of universities called, they all went off their separate ways, and yeah, and that was the end of it. Although, you know, I'm still in touch with a couple of the guys from the band that are kind of working in other more modern projects. So yeah, again, this one will probably be like hen's teeth to find, but well worth looking for if you can, because and any member of Panic Office out there, reissue it as a kind of retrospective kind of thing, or package your two albums together and put it out, because this is good music that deserves to be heard by future generations. And that'll be a lesson to all of you kind of people out there in bands. If you've got stuff that was released ages ago that's no longer available, you put it out, because you might, you know, people deserve to hear your music and what you've left behind. Yeah. People deserve to hear in future years. Leads us on to the last one. Yeah, Rothschild's Stakk Attakk. There's the front. Brace yourself, here's the back. We're talking glam metal here, obviously. Of course we're talking glam metal. But we're also talking new wave of British heavy metal because, you know, people tend to get the new wave of British heavy metal scene wrong. And I do speak from authority because I was there, I lived through it, I saw the bands, I brought the albums, like this one and the Daemon. And, yeah, I went to the gigs, I went to the clubs, I went to the rock discos. I was there from the early 80s, from about 1980 onwards. So I do know what I'm talking about. I have had this argument with some younger people that are talking out their own metal backsides over the era. It was not a genre. People think, oh, you know, British heavy metal, and then listen to Iron Maiden and Saxon and go, that's what it sounded like. No. The new wave of British heavy metal was a movement, not a genre. It indulged people like, well, Rothschild, glam rock revivalists, all Stakk and hairsprays and woo-woo mamas. There was bands like Venom and Warfare, who were kind of laying out the basis for what became kind of death and doom and black metal. You had bands like Daemon that were kind of bringing elements of prog rock. You had bands like Spider, who were straight out forward heavy metal boogie. And yeah, and you know, I sort of even tying some of the prog rock bands with this kind of, as a kind of parallel movement. So, you know, open your mind when it comes to new British heavy metal, and remember, movement, not genre. Anyway, Rothschild came out of Evesham up there in Worcestershire. Anyway, that part of the West Midlands. Anyway, as you can tell, Stakk hairspray, and yeah, these guys out Motley Crue back then. Saw them live, two albums in 1984. They had a couple of albums out. I can't remember if this is the first one or were there any art before this. Definitely had a couple of this after them because they had one called the Biz Suck, and it was on the tour for the Biz Suck, so I saw them. But anyway, this is it's just a great piece of party rock. It's sleazy, it's in your face, it kind of reeks of hairspray and cheap kind of underarm deodorant, and tracks Too Hard to Tame, Trash Queen, the title track Stakk Attakk is brilliant. Law Abuser, Reckless, All Right with the Boys, my favourite one, The Shocker. Yeah, sleazy, greasy, classic. So yeah, that's the final one for today. Stakk Attakk by Rothschild. Okay, hope you enjoyed. I'm about to process this and get it up on YouTube. So yeah, if you like what you hear, leave a comment. You might even think about subscribing, because these might be coming weekly for the next couple of weeks, or at least. And who knows. Anyway, and like I said, and then this one will go up on Facebook next weekend as the new one comes out on YouTube. Gonna stagger them like that, see how it goes. So, yeah, any comments, leave them below. And I want to discuss some of these albums with you. Have you heard them? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? I want to hear your opinions. So, yeah, let's get a dialogue going. So, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, leave a comment. And again, I've got a quick reminder, I can't replay any clips off these albums. Algorithms, especially on YouTube, will end up finding me and deleting the videos. It won't even let me put some 18 stashed in songs up because of their album videos. Songs I fucking wrote! Yeah, never mind. Anyway, until next week, peeps, take care, stay safe, I love yous, I know I'm out of here. Bye!